Hello, Melton Guy here. Got a few things I want to say. Want to look at it from my point of view. Just so happened, my point of view is the point of view of many Americans today, and it's a point of view that really needs to stress every day, every hour of the day. So important that we talk about Donald Trump and what Donald Trump has done, is doing, and will do to this country. But before I get into any of that, I want you to, before you just switch channels, go somewhere else, hearing the things I say to begin with, bear with me, and I'll explain some of it at the end. So don't say, well, this is silly or crazy. Let me finish and let me explain. But I want to talk to you about some things at the end in regard to people I pray will go to heaven. I'm making a list of those people that I pray every day that they make it to heaven, and I'll tell you why at the end also. I want to talk just a few seconds about the debate. But now, I just want to reveal to you that after much research, I have discovered that slaves that we've talked about for years in our schools, we talked about it's in politics and religion, the idea of white men owning black slaves or whatever, never happened. Fake news. The news to present those facts they say they have were rigged. Absolutely rigged. Now, I know that may be shocking, but bear with me. And another thing, remember the stories about the Revolutionary War and the heroes of the Revolutionary War? It never took place. The proof that we have that has been presented to us, it was rigged. It's all fake news because it was rigged. There's never such a thing as the Revolutionary War. Remember Francis Scott Key wrote that song, The Star Spangled Banner? He didn't do that. That's fake news. Somebody rigged it to make it sound like this man, for some reason, was the writer of the national anthem. But it was all rigged. It's not real. And then we've heard story after story. We've seen movie after movie of the Civil War. Never happened. All rigged. All the news, all the evidence that we have that existed, all the people that lived long enough to testify that they were in that war, it was all rigged. They were paid or something, but it was fake news, and it was the evidence is rigged. I'm telling you now. Same with World War I and World War II. All the evidence was rigged. Never happened. I know there are people out there that say, well, I was in that war. Rigged. Totally rigged. You were paid off to tell the story. Same with the Vietnam War. Never happened. Absolutely never happened. I got a brother-in-law who said he was there. No. Somehow or another, it was all rigged, and there was no Vietnam War. And then, this may be shocking. All the evidence that came out, and it's been recently, that came out that proved that the earth is round and not flat, is fake. Whatever astronauts said, whatever scientists have said, fake. The evidence that we've been shown in picture form was rigged. Absolutely. The 2016 presidential election, it was rigged. Hillary Clinton won the election in 2016. And somehow or another, they rigged this whole thing so that Donald Trump could become president. But Hillary Clinton really won the 2016 presidential election. In 2020, it was all rigged. President Trump really won the 2020 presidential election. It was all rigged. All the evidence that's been presented, rigged, fake news, all kind of conspiracy theories. Everything was rigged. Not true. And COVID, I don't care if you say, well, I had COVID. No, you didn't. There's no such thing. The very idea that an injection of any kind would keep you from getting COVID or not having a very bad case of COVID, well, there's no COVID to worry about. It's all fake news. And all the evidence that we've seen is absolutely rigged. January the 6th, so rigged. All the pictures you see, what you saw with your own two eyes, was rigged. Nothing to it. Fake news. Rigged. It never happened. Now let me say this. Everything I just said, I said with a little bit of tongue in cheek, being a little flippant. So at the most, saying these things makes me a loudmouth asshole. But if you believed even one of these things that makes you, if you talk about it, if you believe just one of the things I said, you are a loudmouth asshole, and indicates you have a severe mental disorder. Absolutely. A severe mental disorder. And let me tell you, if you're listening, one of those people, when you know who I'm talking about, instead of attending those nut-filled rallies filled with ignorance and Trump worshipers, you know, the father God of your cult, who, because he tells you everything is fake news if it doesn't fit his circumstances. It's all a conspiracy against him. The whole world is against him. Or it is totally rigged if it didn't come out in his favor. If it didn't fit in his plan for quest for power, it was rigged. Everything is rigged. And instead of going to those cult parties, I suggest you find a good psychologist or psychiatrist. And I'm being just as sincere as I can be, because this thing that's taking place at these rallies in the minds of, it seemed at some point, otherwise intelligent people, is a sickness, a mental disorder. It can be nothing else. Nobody can fall for the crap and the wrongdoing over and over again and it not be a mental disorder. To worship someone as much as some of you people do, most of you do, there is a mental disorder. Stop going to the rallies. Find yourself a psychologist or psychiatrist before it's too late, if it's not already. I don't want to be flippant about something as important as elections and the politics in this country now. But the major news network, they absolutely need to be more diligent. They need to, when they see something that is terribly, terribly wrong, it's all right to say, this is terribly, terribly wrong, and this person is leading us down a dark path. They won't do it. Every once in a while, you'll hear somebody break away from the others and say something that needed to be said. But most of the time, you have to go people like R.M. Elbert, Rachel Maddow, Tennessee Brando, and Texas Paul, Owen Morgan, and I could go on. There are plenty of them out there trying to tell you, and they're saying the same thing. The mainstream news media is not being tough enough for us to thwart this terrible, terrible plague of Trumpism and cultism taking place in America today. Stop going to those rallies. Yeah, I was very flippant to begin with about all those things. But if you think about it, from day one, Donald Trump, before the election, was saying rigged, 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 rigged. And all the prophets, so-called prophets, falling in line with him, they, instead of worshiping God, whom they were supposed to be doing and preaching about God and preaching about their Jesus, they were worshiping Donald Trump. And they prophesied that Donald Trump would win the 2020 election. Absolutely. Of course, they had to back down from that after the election was over. But they said that Donald Trump was supposed to win. So I concluded that, and it seemed like they concluded also that the Democrats were more powerful than God on this occasion. Is that what they're saying? That the Democrats are so powerful, they even tricked God. Rigged. That's a word that has become a synonym of the character of Donald Trump, along with many, many other not so good synonyms. You know it, as some would say. I know it. American people know it. Somehow or another, we got to break through. And now, for my list of people who I pray for every day, and I hope we all could get behind it and pray and have a vigil of some kind and just pray for these people that these people that I'm about to mention, and I'm going to continue the list, get into heaven. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Ted Cruz, J.D. Vance, Tim Scott, Jim Jordan, Marco Rubio, Laura Trump, Donald Trump, Eric Trump, Jim Comer, Ron DeSantis, Hank Kunneman. I believe we're going to have to pray to get even Hank Kunneman, an evangelist, so-called prophet, into heaven, and Robin Bullock. And I could mention Ken Copeland and others, Jesse Duplantis, but that's my list right now. And I want us all to join in and pray that these people make it to heaven. I want them in heaven. Do you know why I want them in heaven? Because if these people get to heaven, then I have never known anybody, and I do not know anybody now, who will not make it to heaven. So let's pray that these people make it to heaven. If you believe in heaven, pray that they make it there, because that assures you probably of being there. And I'm dead serious about that. And now I want to say just one thing about the debate. There was no debate. Nothing was rigged, nothing like that. Nothing to do with drugs, anything like that. But you cannot have a debate. You cannot have a debate when Donald Trump, when he opened his mouth from the very first line to the very last line, lied, lied, lied. And that's why I think fact checking should have been taking place during the debate. But there was no debate because you can't debate when one side is lying about everything. Now, I don't know how you feel about that. You may like to see, and I like to see it too, but I like to see these lies exposed just right there on the spot. And there again with the CBS and ABC and NBC and all the major news networks, there should have been something, and there were some things, but nothing that came out and said Donald Trump never told one truth. Never told one truth during that debate, so-called debate. This is what we're in for if we let this man go any farther. This is why July the 11th, I feel, is so important. Keeping in mind that whatever happens to Trump, we got to think about, and the people that are on his list for vice president, I just as soon to have Donald Trump. But on July the 11th, when the sentencing takes place in New York, it is so important what happens there. And I don't wish any ill will or anything bad on anybody. But I certainly hope this judge realizes this man must be stopped. And he's got a little bit of leverage, being the judge that will sentence him. Yes, I pray for those people that I mentioned earlier. I want them to make it to heaven. I pray for this country every day. I want my granddaughter, good or bad, I want my granddaughter to be able to enjoy the freedoms that we had. No matter how hard the times were, no matter how much we fussed, we had freedoms. We had some semblance of being able to sit down at a supper table and discuss things without somebody calling you a liar. We have to get back to a place where the aisle between Republicans and Democrats begins to be very dim. You need to narrow that aisle. And that aisle between those of us who realize what Donald Trump has done, is doing, and will do, and those who haven't realized it yet. We need to narrow that aisle. We need to talk. We need to pray. Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you have a good 4th planned, and I hope you celebrate it and have a great time with your family and barbecue chicken and hamburgers and hot dogs and all that goes with it. Just like everything was all right otherwise. We need a day like that. So find time to spend with your family and celebrate your country, your independence, but celebrate your life and family's relationship. Again, I want to mention Tennessee Brando. I already have. I want to mention Tennessee Brando and Owen Morgan, and Texas Paul, and Ari Melber, and Jesse Dollemore. There are so many others. I want you to watch them. I want you to watch Fox. Watch them all. But when you watch these people that I mentioned, Owen Morgan, Jesse Dollemore, Ari Melber, and When you watch Tennessee Brando, Texas Paul, subscribe to their networks. Get everything they have to say. Give them a thumbs up so we can get it out. And if you will, if you like anything I say, subscribe to my podcast. If you can find it in your heart, give me a thumbs up. If you can't, that's all right too. I still love you. And like I said, until next time, till the next roundup comes around, I hope you do have a great 4th. God bless you all.